Ever find yourself on a trip seeing a scene that you would love to capture, but you're too nervous to take out your sketching supplies? Do you worry that you're not talented enough or that others might be judging you? Well, I struggle with this also. So in this video, we'll talk about the ways that I overcame my fear of sketching in public and how to silence that inner critic that's always stopping you from taking action. We'll also look at some practical tips so you can confidently capture those vacation memories on paper. You're going to want to stick around to the end of this video for a new segment called Back of the Sketchpad. A while back, I started to save some of the questions people would ask me in comments, on Instagram, or by email, and during Back of the Sketchpad, I'll answer them for you. But for those new to the channel, I'm Karan. I've been an artist and a designer for over 15 years, and I'm here to help you become a future artist. This is episode 2 of my travel sketching series. If you haven't seen the first episode yet, you definitely should because there are some great tips I learned while sketching through Cuba. In this episode, I'll be sketching on a day trip to Prince Edward County in Ontario, Canada. PEC is known for their wines, and it's about 2 hours outside of Toronto, and it's much less pretentious than Niagara. If you know, you know. I think the hardest part about sketching like this is not feeling intimidated by the process. As we were walking out of this winery, I turned around to sketch the facade of the storage area. There were a few people walking around and looking at me. My inner voice was telling me to pick another place, somewhere with much less people. But I didn't listen. I sketched anyways. My advice here, keep it simple. I'm just using a fountain pen and a travel pad. If I had to whip out markers or paints, I can tell you right now, this sketch would not have happened. So pack light because it reduces that mental barrier to start and makes the whole process a lot less intimidating. It also silences that inner critic that's always trying to stop you from practicing in public. Using dots are a great way to get your compositions perfect. Well, at least good enough. You see, when you're making a quick sketch on location while standing in front of a place, you really don't have the luxury of time. These sketches I do take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, so not a lot of time to compose. By using dots to mark the borders of your elements, you can sketch very quickly and very accurately. It becomes a game of connecting the dots and then filling in all of the details. So next time you're sketching in a hurry, Start off by marking your borders with dots. The third tip I have for you today is to draw loosely. Drawing loosely will help you capture the energy of the scene. When you're sketching on location like this, getting every detail perfect just isn't possible. So by using loose, expressive line work, you free yourself from the pressure of accuracy. If you lower your expectations of yourself, knowing it's impossible to get all of the details and make a perfect sketch, you also lower the barrier to start. If you combine loose sketching with the previous 2 tips, you'll have a stunning travel sketchbook in no time. Before I get to the back of the sketchpad to answer your questions, let's do a little recap. To silence that inner critic and reduce mental barriers, you'll want to pack light. A book and a pen is all you need. Next, dots are your best friend. They'll let you sketch a great composition and be out of there before anyone even notices. And lastly, sketch loosely and use gestures to capture the essence of your subjects and locations. Years from now, when you're looking back at these sketches, you'll focus on the energy you captured, not how technically correct your drawing is. Now that we're in the back of the sketchpad, let's answer some of your questions. Now, I get variations of this question a lot. This one's from Skinny Shelly 48. They asked, what kind of sketchbooks are good for beginners? What sketchbook are you using here? My go-to sketchbook these days is the Copic Paper Selections one. I find it does a great job of controlling ink bleed. Previous to this, I used the Moleskine Art Series, which is also great. The thing about these books though is that none of them fully stop ink bleed, so it's best to put a scrap piece of paper behind each sketch. Alright, so the next question is from Zizka. They ask, what fountain pen is that? So I'm going to assume that you're talking about this fountain pen here. This is the Y Studio Resin fountain pen. I don't even think they sell them anymore, but I love it. You might find it in a shop somewhere. I got this particular one while on a trip to London a few years ago. It's easy to hold, it draws really well, and I really hope it doesn't break anytime soon. Alright, the last question comes from a DreeTW6997, and they ask, do you have any tips for overcoming the fear of sketching in public? I always get so nervous. This is a great question, and I actually answered it in this video right here. If you have any other questions about urban sketching, this channel, or anything art related, ask them in the comments. I'd love to do this section again in the future.